right, good morning, and you're welcome to today's edition of the program Issues of the Moment on MBS TV, and it's a live program coming your way on this belt of our transmission. The program is usually your weekly program, current affairs program, where we bring to you current issues, burning matters, and very topical issues in the society. And so here this Saturday, we are here again with another issue that we'll be talking. And today's issue is going to be more on peace and violence and the rest of them. And we have a guest in the studio who will be doing justice to the topic for discussion today. We have a guest who is coordinating affairs of, ActionAid in collaboration with three organizations who are into peace matters. And the project is cutting across 3 states of the Federation, Nasarawa, Kogi, and FCT. The project is being implemented simultaneously across those states. So, right in the studio, we have Mr. Ebruke Esike Onajite. He is the Executive Director, Global Peace Development, who is in the studio with us. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's all right, and my name is Gospel Ede, your regular host on this program, Issues of the Moment. Before we go into our conversation proper, or to let you know exactly what the issues at stake are, we'll be taking this short break. When we come back, we will engage our guest in the studio to advance the conversation. The program will be right back.
Dear esteemed viewer, you can't afford to miss your weekly most cherished current affairs program, Issues of the Moment on NBS TV. Issues of the Moment is a 1-hour live discussion and phone-in program that engages government functionaries, technocrats, captains of industries, public commentators, and intellectuals on burning state and national matters of public interest. Join us every Saturday by 10 a.m. with your host, Godspower AD, as we review, analyze, and proffer solutions to the challenges of our society. Issues of the Moment live, engaging, analytical, and revealing.
All right, you're welcome back, and we're glad to have you back on the show, and we're going to be advancing our conversation with our guest in the studio. But before then, ActionAid Nigeria, in collaboration with Global Peace Development and Beacon Youth Initiative, is implementing a project, system, and structure strengthening approach against radicalization to violent extremism. They call it SARVE II in Nasarawa State. It was informed by the need to decrease the vulnerability of at-risk young men and women to violent extremism, strengthen community systems and structures to address violent extremism, and create an enabling environment for preventing violent extremism. This project is funded by Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund, GCERF. Well, plenty grammar there, and we have a man who is in charge or coordinating the program, Mr. Ebruke Esike Onajite. You, from the plenty grammar we've heard, the heavy, we would like you to break it down to the understanding of laymen. Explain what the project is all about.
All right, thank you for the opportunity. The system and structure strengthening approach against radicalisation to violent extremism is intended clearly to contribute to community resilience.
Okay.
To be able to avert infiltration of extremists into the environment and be able to build community capacity to withstand any ritual tricks or challenge ploy by extremists to infiltrate their community in terms of benefit and all of those. Normally, extremists use tactics, look at the community weakness, their vulnerability to enter that community to secure legitimacy.
Okay.
So, for us, when community is strengthened and have the capability, they need to withstand some of those tactics used by extremists to infiltrate. So, so basically, we have looked at it that when the people at the grassroots have strong knowledge on information around peace building processes and the implication of violence in their environment, they would not succumb to the needs and pressure of extremist groups. So the real intention is community resilience for stability in Nasarawa State.
Okay. Well, the project, like you just mentioned, is currently being implemented in Nasarawa State. At some point, Kogi State is also part of this project. And when you look at Nigeria as a country, when you talk about extremism, you talk about violence, these two states are far, far away from those kind of categories of places where you talk about violence. Why the choice of Nasarawa and Kogi instead of maybe Borno, Katsina, or Zamfara and the rest of them? Okay,
so people that just get into extremism, there are structures and systems that made them become vulnerable to extremists.
Okay.
Now, when the governance structure is weak and people do not have hope to engage, opportunity to engage or get benefits, they'll find succor somewhere. Okay. Now, we don't really wait for the place to be conquered before you do peace building. Otherwise, it becomes a very difficult contest.
Okay.
We lost grounds in Borno. Okay. What should have been done early when there were signs of those conflicts. People never acted. Maybe the government did not take those warnings quickly to respond and improve the engagement. Now, so what we are trying to do, even if we know that in total areas of where we are, one of the people we are working, there's reported cases of Dar es Salaam group around that area. And they've been in the bush, and I think they've been able to flush them now in the last engagements that we've talked to, pushed to the government and all of those, combine information from everybody. The information became, they now understood, the community understood that if they keep keeping those people's information without sharing to the appropriate authority, they become conquered. Remember, when any group gets into an environment and get comfort, they begin to do things with the community, secure legitimacy, yes. And before you know it, they become a conquered community. You look at the Guardian case in Yobe. They keep coming as if they are businessmen and all of those. Before you know it, they take over the environment. So what are we trying to do? So Kogi and Nasarawa may not have been in that contest, but they are also very close and very proximate to this Federal Capital Authority, just like Niger. Okay. An attack in Niger puts the Federal Capital into jeopardy. So is Kogi and Nasarawa, and by extension Kaduna. If you look at the geographical spread or the alignment in 3 states, the 3 states I just mentioned. So these are 4 states, so to say. So the reason why Nasarawa and Kogi is critical. Remember, the conflict have been very severe in Plateau, very severe in Plateau, and also some major part of it has been involved also in Benue. So GCERF generally did not only work in Nasarawa actually. Okay. So for my partner ActionAid Nigeria, we looked at Kogi and Nasarawa. But GCERF works also in Benue and Plateau because of the nature of violence in those places. You agree with me, in the last 3 years, it's even 4, 5, 6 years, Benue and Plateau have been on the national news in recurring violence and all that. But all of those things are also preventable. Sure. Now, structures must be enabled. Otherwise, we cannot mitigate issues around insurgents. Now, how do we even intend to mitigate them? We need to begin to interact with the community stakeholders and critical stakeholders, even at the LGA level to the state level, to understand the dynamics around the conflict. Okay. Now, sometimes people often think that until conflict becomes violent, it is not conflict. Now, when people contest, compete for a stake or a goal or an interest or a need, whatever you want to call it, Without appropriate agreement, or some people call it commonality or agreement, it will result to conflict. So we are saying, let's create structure where people can come to do dialogue, engage them and resolve issues non-violently, rather than going violently to achieve their goal. Okay. So if people have strong knowledge, we'll be able to reduce the likelihood of extremist infiltration. Extremists actually get to a place where get into a place when they feel it's ungoverned. Okay, ungoverned spaces. Some call it safe haven. When nobody is saying anything in a particular location, let's say forest, nobody is going there. They keep building structures, keep pushing gradually. Before you know it, the place is conquered. That's what happened. Okay. So we don't want it to happen to get to that level, but remember there are no so conflict in this state. There are conflict, that the Doma issues that happened with 50 deaths, remember, sometime this year. Those are extremists. It may not be tagged clear extremists, but the tactics and approach used have the same characteristics like extremists.
Okay, now, having been working in Nasarawa State, can we know for how long you've been carrying out this project now?
Okay, this project actually commenced in 2019, specifically May 1. Okay. And so our approach in this state is to, with the project, is to work with the community structures up to the state level. Now, first, we believe that at different levels, there's what we call, when I mention government weakness and government and community weakness, particularly at the community level, people, when they don't find solace and they are not, they cannot be placated in that community, they will find external support. Now, at the community level, we tend first to build the community structure. Okay. Now, so what we did was to engage the community leaders and set up what we call community action and response team. Okay. That structure will help us generate early warning information at different levels so that there can be response. Okay. Now, at the local government level, such structures also exist, and let me just make a digression for public clarity. We are focusing on 6 local governments: Toto, Akwanga, Nasarawa, Obi, Nasarawa, and Lafia local government. Those are the 6 local governments. Okay. And so we are intervening in two communities each. Now, so by approach, with the CAT systems to be in those communities where we are operating, but the local government level, messages can run through all the local wards in the AG. Okay. At state level, every stakeholder from different communities and local government can contribute information to help security to track and mitigate conflict escalate. One major factor that lets conflict escalate is when people do not report. Sure. In 2020, Nigerian Business Service reported that majority of the conflict that goes to violence is because people do not report rightly, and because there are no responses as well. So there are 2 factors: one, reporting appropriately, and a quick response from security agents. Okay. So from our structure, when the community people provide early warning, if they are unable to resolve it internally within the community, they cascade it to the local government level. We call it LOCMA. Okay. Then the LOCMA, if they are unable to resolve it internally in their own social dialogue process, they refer to the state level, which was this state structure, we call it Nasarawa State Conflict Management Alliance, where that was actually inaugurated by this, so was inaugurated by the SSG, specifically September 17, 2020. Okay. So that stakeholders, it's a multi-stakeholder platform. And these structures collect early warning information from the different local governments, so that if there's a tension likely to happen, the key leaders of government duty bearers go and resolve it before it escalates. Okay. When people, I learned from, this is learning in one of the LOCMA meeting, one of the officers mentioned that one thing that have saved Kano is early warning. Okay. When people know that maybe for example, some people are preparing to get to an area to secure a safe space, and as they enter, the policemen or the DSS and say, go there and say, look, who are you? Of course, they leave that place. But when they come, spend 1 month, 2, nobody's asking questions, it means the place is safe. So clearly, we have used these early warning processes to help to reduce tension in the state. Okay. That apart, we also felt it is also very important, while we talk of community resilience, people need to take care of their stomach. Hunger is a major factor.
In
fact, Nigeria hunger, crime, and security are our major challenges right now. And people want to be safe. And to be safe, we need to ensure that people don't get into crime. And for people to be safe, their farms will be protected. And so you see why the elements are very important. So first, we need to build the youth structures within these communities to have a strong voice. I must also tell you, without making mistake, His Excellency Engineer Blaise have been very supportive in our program. So I don't miss that point. Particularly with the launch of the State Action Plan for in line with UN Security Council Resolution 1325. So I think it's one of the first sitting governors that have signed that document. Although I still expect that the government will graciously help us implement it for the different local governments so that women at local government level will have understanding that they need to participate in peacebuilding platforms and governance systems. That's one point. Then again, we also have brought forth what we call the 2250, because again, generally across the world, the youths have actually been limited in terms of engagement. Space for their engagement have been very limited. And the UN, in their wisdom, felt if we don't create structure for you, there've been this basic conference, there've been the Commission on Women CEDAW, there've been different policies to talk of women affirmation, all of those. But not actually have been said about the women and young boys and young women, which is the youth. So the UN always say, oh, let's come with 2250. That was activating our project. And again, like I told you, the government also signed it off. Well, at least in the next few weeks, we should launch the Nasarawa State Youth Peace and Security Action Plan, which likely may be the first action plan in Nigeria, if we can ensure it is launched before on the 4th of next month. We will be the first in the country. So it's another milestone. Why are we doing this? We want to bring the organized and unorganized youth into a strong platform for them to know that they have a goal and they have a role to play. Then we also felt, while we do this, we still think they need strong structures. You agree with me with the Minister of Youths. The youths are not very visible. And so what do? Do we need to create structures for their engagement? We also approached the House of Assembly and their wisdom have passed the Youth Development Commission bill into second reading. They're not yet passed, but I think it's a major. They've made some effort and I think it's going to be activated. Now, so with the structure supporting the youth to grow their knowledge and capability in economic base through our cooperative society training and startup packs of 750 youths were empowered. And creating integrated agriculture rice mill for 500 women and granted male is a measure to reduce unemployment. You agree with me when youths, I can tell you young youths here now produce shoes, produce bags in Nasarawa State. We have used our Peace Camp platform to create increased knowledge of young men and young women in the state in terms of craft, in terms of visibility, confidence building, and now have the capacity to engage at different levels. The camp brought forth 500 youths for 3 years, 500 every year. The last just held in, we held it in Doma between 11th and 18th of September. And we brought 500 youths, and these youths they've discovered their potentials. One great thing we've done with that, we've let youth know that they have the capacity to excel. And one major factor that triggers youth development is when they engage with their peers. So we've created the platform for peer-to-peer learning. But we also found that if women don't have strong space for engagement, it will also affect our project and affect them in their community. So we're able to, through the community leaders, set up what they call safe spaces in the communities. Also as well in the schools, so that young boys, young girls, and young boys can confidently engage their leaders if they feel their right is being violated. Okay. And so that's one of the points we also push when we're supporting the process of the violence against person prohibition law. That also the governor side. So the government has done a lot of things for people in Nasarawa State.
Very well.
It's very important we make this point. So you look at it from the different parts of engagement. Two categories are mostly vulnerable in Nigeria: the women and the youth. When I mean the youth boys and youth girls.
So in essence, this project targets mostly the youth and the women.
Yes.
Those are your major...
They are the most vulnerable across the world.
Okay.
This is not to say we did not engage with the men.
Okay.
And also persons with disability. They are all captured. Okay. But our primary people are young men and young women who are at risk.
Okay.
Because they are the same people that can be conscripted or recruited by extremist group to perpetuate violence.
Okay.
Because they are very vulnerable. They are not even in spaces of authority. And so they will say, well, I don't even benefit. Why not I give up? In all contexts, the women and the youth are the part they take to enter communities. If you have them committed, you have the capacity strengthened, and they are empowered, they will stop extremists from entering. You are really, most men are in the community or in the farm or in the offices working. They don't know what happened in the environment. You agree with me?
No, very well.
So the women and the youth are the one, you see, we call the men gatekeepers. But in my understanding, the women and the young men and women girls are actually the gatekeepers, because they look at the community more than we.
They're the street owners.
So that's why their voice must be activated so that they will have strong capacity to withstand pressure. Those communities, so if you look at it, no community that have experienced violence would have been successful by extremists if the youths have that capacity to withstand them. But because you remember, insider is a major factor for people to get in. Where you are not familiar with, you can never go there to commit crime. So you need insider to provide relevant information before crime can be perpetrated.
Exactly.
And so engaging the youths and young women to understand the dynamics and tactics of these groups will make the place resilient.
Okay.
Yes.
So let us know exactly what is the duration of this project.
Okay, this project unfortunately is almost coming to an end.
Okay.
Because it will terminate by December 31st.
This year?
Yes.
Then what happened afterward?
Good. Now, we have created structures to continue early warning and early response.
Okay.
The key part of all of this project is the agencies. The agencies at the community level, local government level, at the state level. And that's why, in my opinion, the governor saw it, that's why he gave approval for the inauguration of this Nasarawa State Conflict Management Alliance. It is not a government paid responsibility. It is a civic and patriotic approach to reduce insecurity. Now, there are people, those who the members are people within the state who are supporting or part of state structures, whether formal or civilian. So like the army, the police, the NSCDC, the GSS are all on the platform. So what are we doing? People collect, we have the motorcycle, we have the National Council of Women's Society, we have the Christian in general, everybody are there, even the Emirate, everybody is there, providing intelligence information collaboratively. You agree with me? In fact, by my training, there is no one group can make a place safe. You need multiple approach, you need critical stakeholders contribution, and so critical for us is the Nasarawa State Conflict Management Alliance. That's why we're doing everything possible to ensure that state structures take ownership of this project, because it is cheaper than going to begin to think of arms and ammunition to stop insurgency encroachment. When people share knowledge and they are aware that if I send message from aware regarding security, there will be response, their confidence is strengthened, and if you know, SME will infiltrate it. But if there's nobody who is receiving this information, you have even the state is large and the population is also very intense, and so you need people to help contribute to reduce it. So in all of these structures, people Let's use, for example, NAWAJ. They have other members across the local governments. National Council have the member like that. JNI, CAN, Form 1 are all there. So at different levels, if there are people sent to their state level, these are what we're experiencing, there will be response. This one sent, there will be response. So that's why the structures are there. And that's the major structure that had worked. It's almost like the Mabaya house in Kano. That's why I started from there. But that structure had been there since 2006 under the GCERF camp project. It never ended. Because if you end them, not that they need much to do them. Few meetings to attend. We had resolved some major pressures within the area, ethnic and religious conflict that exist. So that because when people begin to experience small conflict, they will find solution.
Okay.
And those solutions may be either by compromise or withdrawal or conquest or finding allies.
Okay.
You saw when Boko Haram was getting weak, they said they are not part of ISIS West Africa. Remember?
Yes.
They need to find allies because they saw, I'm losing strength. So we don't want anybody in the state to lose strength, lose trust. Let them remain committed to the state and begin to bring out early warning from them. That's the only way that have worked. Everywhere, it's almost like the future center in America. People watch the environment. What you want to call it surveillance. Until you hear the IG tell you, we need people, we can't do the work. There's no way the security agency can do the work. I can tell you without mistake, in the last demonstration I made at National Assembly, especially March 18, 2020, we had 380,000 policemen. I think I heard it, one of the iPhone IG said it. 380,000 policemen.
Grossly inadequate.
Out of in Nigeria, if you take that figure mathematically, we divide by 774 local government, we're about 49 policemen per local government. Let's say in context in Nasarawa we have like, let's put maybe half of that number, for local we have maybe 15 or 20 per local government. How will you police even Wamba? Or police are aware or Toto? So you see the problem.
Sure.
So you need the people to support this process so that they become very inclusive and participatory.
That's interesting. Where we need the people to support the process. That is Mr. Ebruke Esike Onajite, the Executive Director, Global Peace Development, and we'll be having a conversation on peace and how to avoid violence. We are back, and the program is Issues of the Moment on MBS TV, and we've been discussing issues of peace, issues of how to, avoid or reduce violent extremism among our young people in our society. And our guest is Mr. Ebruke Esike Onajite, who is the Executive Director, Global Peace Development, doing justice to the topic of discussion. Before we continue with our conversation, I'd like to give you the number to reach us if you want to be part, or if you are watching us and you want to be part of this conversation. The number to reach us via call and text message is 081-0179-3991, 081-0179-3991. You can get us through text message with that number. Well, you can also send us a WhatsApp message through 070-3039-5583, 070-3039-5583. The number will be displayed on your television screen for you to reach us in this conversation, and we'll be very glad to have you, make your contributions in this discussion. Back to my guest, before we start receiving a call. When you were talking about, the program the program about to be to wind up by December 31st this year, and I begin to wonder about the sustainability of this project. a lot is being done today because of you people on ground monitoring and coordinating. Even when government have a committee already, you know, inaugurated for this purpose, you people are still on ground trying to coordinate, give it the needed impetus, and that is why the project is running. What happens when you are finally out of the state? Who does the role of coordinating, and with what motivation will this exercise continue?
Well, first and foremost, global peace development will not exceed the state. Global peace has been here before the project commenced.
Okay.
So we remain.
Okay.
And incidentally, I convene while the SAG is the chairman of N-SCOMA.
Okay.
Purposely because he is in charge of security in the state.
Of course.
And so the key part of sustainability are the things we are trying to do. Now, first and foremost, at the community level, they will continue to do their engagement.
Okay.
At the local government level, they will still continue. Now, one major thing we try to change quickly now. Now, there is new local government chairman sworn in. And we don't know how far the past one transmitted the information to them.
Okay.
So for continuity, actually by Monday, we'll have a quick meeting with local government chairman and key policymakers regarding sustainability of the platform.
Okay.
Because the N-SCOMA is very vital for community security and stability.
Okay.
Now, so how would it work? We have two standing committees, one for monitoring and evaluation, one for media.
Okay.
Yesterday, the media team had meeting with the GM and all of those. Now, so what are we trying to do? If we strengthen the structure, create that alignment between the members and other critical duty bearers, we'll be able to sustain the body beyond now. And again, one other part, because it is on actually more pro bono, these are people from ministries nominated.
Okay.
That means they're state government workers, apart from a few civil societies who are also very patriotic and be able to commit their time.
Okay.
One thing we will be doing as much as possible, we're also looking at new funds to continue support. But we won't be ungrateful if the government decides, okay, let's support their meeting. Okay, we'll give us the venue. But right now, we have to make commitment. We sponsor the hall for meetings.
Okay.
But we have governments, okay, this hall is permanent. Let's say the Minister of Local Government hall is available for your meetings. That we've done in other states. Okay. Actually, in Delta, where I convene as well, the government gave us the SAG conference room permanent.
Okay.
So if we have meeting 3 times a day, and also the media platforms, those are structures of sustainability. Once we have a place for meeting, the members know, because each meeting, like the meeting I will be having, it will cost about 100,000 for the hall. We don't know I'm not going to be there. What do we do? And my office space, even if it's big, we're able to take that number for 35 persons.
Okay.
So if it's okay, a part of our contribution, we provide this meeting venue for all the meetings the SCOMA will be having. Is already sustained. Okay. Now, what is next is, what do we need? Because what they usually have is, maybe we say, okay, because they're traveling far, they may not have it, so let's provide them some small entertainment and all of those. So I don't think those are actually big problem. The major problem will be the hall, and again, government commitment to the project, because we are complementing what government is doing. If in fact, some persons had called, people come from different communities who have this challenge and all of those. Now, once they are aware of the numbers, which we take to do a serious publicity the next 1 month, with the members of the SCOMA to be present, apart from me, it will come and talk with you. You discover that people from everywhere we are not working, like Aware, Kiana, Doma, can share information. If people had this knowledge, the violence that happened in Doma, in the last 3-4 months would have been averted. But because they don't know, they don't even know where to report. Of course, you know government is also very strong. To get good message to the government overnight is very difficult. Sure. But from our platform, we can make that message go fast. Because police are there, the AC officers are out there. These are the things going on, and there's going to be quick result. I can tell you, because it's tested. I've had this engagement convening. I've worked with 2 strong commissioners who you already know. The current IG was the commissioner for police in Delta, where I was convener. We only have meetings. What do we do? I go to him and say, this is what's going on. Because they already are aware of our numbers, as we will respond quick. Remember, one critical factor about this part is trust issues also there. We are building trust between citizens and the security agencies in terms of making sure their name is not public. Sometimes people find it difficult to go and report because they're not sure what will happen. Exactly. And also protect the security agencies from being exposed to security threats. Ambush, there could be calls from people who put them at risk. We don't want those things to happen. So when we transmit the message to the police or the NSA or the DSA, they know it's coming from the platform they know.
Okay.
Then if we retrieve information from them, this is what's going on, they know that this is the right source. So information given become very confidential and also very purposeful for the purpose of mitigating security. So the platform SCOMA, on the terms of security and community resilience, is there, including the one in LOCMA at the local level and at the community level. Community level may not be difficult because it's within them. Okay. Then the next part of sustainability is what we call the Nasarawa State Action Plan, like I mentioned, that the governor signed off and launched on August 6, 2020 to be specific. And that same one is a sustainability plan. Once we have support from government and other stakeholders, we will now do what they call local action plan at the local level and begin to set up women mediators platforms that can begin to contribute to security. We don't want women to be excluded. The essence of the 22-13-25 is to get women active in governance processes, get them active in peace-building platforms. Because when they are active, they will reduce the security threat we have. Remember, the boys and the girls are closer to their mother than their father in terms of interaction. Exactly. So when their mother understands these terminologies and understand the way these things are going, they can stop. They will know when the child is getting radicalized. If the child is getting radicalized, the mother can spot fear before the father. Maybe we go and come back in the evening and the day is gone. But the mother is watching that child every day and will say, oh, I'm seeing some changes. What's going on? They will mitigate it before it gets escalated. But when they don't have the capacity, they think it's a norm. It's a societal norm, a global norm, and it becomes too difficult to curtail. Okay. So we've had some big plans. So now we also put those, like I said earlier, the structures of community, young person's empowerment, where we created corporate society for them. We didn't do individual. Otherwise, it becomes individual benefit. We cluster them to cooperatives. Okay. And so whatever they are working to that cooperative, now register with the state government. So nobody will say it's my property. It's a collective group benefit. Okay. So now, you talk about earlier. You talked about local government. You are currently working 6 of them. Yes. And why the choice of only 6 out of 13? Okay. So all of this comes with funding. Okay. The funding, it is better to do few and do something more reasonable than do all of them without no results. Okay. So the funding will not be able to do everywhere. And so we focus on 6 local governments rather than 13. Okay. Now, what does that bring? So we have 2 in the other part, Nasarawa and Toto on the other side. We have Akwanga, Nasarawa, Egon. We have Obi, Lafia. Okay. So you should try to balance the central district. Okay. So again, it's not sufficient, but so the real reason is because of funds. You cannot achieve all of those when you want to do all the local government. Okay. Yeah. So now, what are we saying? In all of those places where we've worked, we didn't do all the local government or the communities. Now, in those local decisions they've had, because of the benefits and the achievement they've recorded in those cards, most of the AGs have agreed to set up community action and response team in their communities. Okay. These things can come. You can even mitigate drug abuse. Okay. Drug enablement constitutes the violence to a great extent. Definitely. So you can also mitigate, when people when they understand that they can have issues on their own within their community, they don't need external help. So one of those outcomes, people are trying to set up structures. Like in Nasarawa, they set up some new carts that we didn't even set up because they discover it's very helpful for them. So if LGAs can do that on their own, look at what is going on, say, look, I don't think it's very expensive to do. You can call our available to provide the technical support and set up those structures is very, very important so that we don't become like Katsina, Zamfara, and even Kaduna. Because those structures are, actually the big document now for Kaduna State to see how we can collect early warning quickly. Because once you can collect early warning, those violence will stop.
Okay.
Because the safe haven is no longer there. So once we can block anything that will allow them to create a safe haven, the place is very safe.
Okay, now, how do you know the commitment, how do you gauge the commitment of your major stakeholders? Because when you look at the case of Zamfara and Katsina, you discover that even some community leaders, some traditional rulers, some people that ought to be drivers of this project, of peace process, are the ones that are found culpable in aiding and abetting the crime. So how do you gauge the people that you engage?
So because our system is a process, we don't just go and know. We go through a process of community engagement, step-by-step engagement, look at who and who is there, do what they call key expert interview. It's a detailed process, so you know who and who is on the table. Now, if you don't do, so one major factor I can tell you for free, those things, those issues around those places is because nobody is watching. If a community leader is culpable, people would have reported it. They didn't know. In fact, they may have seen it as a way of business. Because it didn't start one day.
Sure.
So if you want to agree with me, maybe this started yesterday. It started in the 70s in Yola. They call it Metacine. I may not have pronounced it rightly, but that's what it is.
Metacine.
That's where it started from. But people think it's a minor problem. But so if they had understood the implications of what is going on then, they would have stopped it. Like now that I some small radical boys in Kefi coming even to fight. If we don't stop them quick, they become too strong and their energy gets too strong for us to curtail. So for community leaders who are like I said earlier actually, that no criminal can actually enable violence or conflict in a community when there is no insider. Nobody can come to Nasarawa and steal when he has no insider. We call it insider in the environment. That is what really happened. Otherwise, if you don't have a friend, how do you go to a place? Let's, for example, you've not been to Meduguri. Do you know the next community you want to enter? As you fly into Borno, you know they call Goza. How do you get to Mungunu? Or how do you get to Baga? Are you getting my point?
Sure.
It is you need somebody to say, this is what is happening and this is how to escape. It's like a rabbit. A rabbit you want to cage and it has many holes. How will you stop the rabbit?
Difficult.
But the rabbit that does not know that will come out the same hole. It's the same thing. So community leaders, so this is where when community leaders discover their subjects are preaching peace, then you hands off.
Okay.
A community leader cannot even act alone. He needs surrogates.
Sure.
Those surrogates you want are not supporting you. Will that leader continue? No. So they don't work alone. It's a group. So that was a violent extremist group. They recruit allies who can be. They must have shown them benefits. You are suffering. Why don't I give you food? The more they get, the more they support, they get legitimacy. I say, well, this man or this group supporting us, what they give them the task. So it's a very complex thing. And that's why you need people to not, in fact, the real point is people need to invest in security. Not for the government, for their own lives. Somebody is in your neighborhood, don't even know who is in your neighborhood. Remember, like I always tell everybody, if there's a rape here, and we say let's keep it because his culture, his family, his religion, it will creep to the next community and keep creeping. And that's what we're experiencing. Now, nobody knew. You were asking the question, why Kogi Nasarawa? Nobody knew extremists would jump to Niger. So close just here from Borno.
Sorry, sir. We have to keep it short cut it short here because of our time.
No problem.
You might not believe that we've exhausted more than an hour here. And
so fast.
The time is not really on our side. We would have loved to continue, actually.
I'm ready.
But we'll come back maybe another time for more engagement to internalize this message to our people. Unfortunately, this project is just rounded up, but we hope it will be sustained like the plan that is already on ground. Well, viewer, this is how far we go today on this edition of the program. My guest in the studio has been Mr. Ebruke Esike Onajite, the Executive Director, Global Peace Development Foundation. And like you all heard him, we're talking about peace, how to avoid violent extremism. Like it is said, peace is priceless. We have to pursue it vigorously for our society to be safe and healthy for everyone. Thanks for watching, and join us again next week for another edition of this program, Issues of the Moment. My name is Gospel Ede. Well, also to acknowledge some of his team members who are here in the studio with us, Mr. Kefa Stiga and Joy Taku. We really appreciate you, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.